Are you into poetry? As a river remembers each pebble, or a grape the architecture of its vines.
Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Stop already.
It's none of our business. 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 It's none of our business.
Hey, welcome to the It's Really None of Our Business podcast with Monica
and Amanda. This is a show where we open a bottle of wine and attempt to solve the problems of the world.
And we do that, and eventually we'll get paid for it, but we're not actually professional people, so don't really take our advice.
Well, that's the thing. You take it all with a grain of
Salt.
Salt?
Grain of salt.
Grain of salt.
Yeah.
I think that's advice from anybody, though. How many experts are there out there that give this advice that contradicts a different expert, you know?
Yeah.
We're just one of many experts you should listen to.
What do you think makes us experts? I just think that, I don't know, my own life experience, all the bullshit that I've been through, I think makes me an expert on a lot of things, especially the way relationships. I think I'm pretty good at it.
I think you are too. What makes me an expert? I don't think anything, to be honest. I don't have a lot of life experience.
You're just my sidekick.
I think I am good at listening and taking in people's stories and stuff, but I don't have any of my own experiences. I just coast through life doing nothing, really.
You know, I think that generally me and you, we have a pretty easygoing life. Like, our life is pretty easygoing day to day. And I just feel bad for all the people that I talk to whose life really sucks. Like,
I like to think, though, and maybe this is just me being arrogant, but I have built this life for myself to be fairly easy. You know what I mean? Like, from the get-go, I just kind of, I've made sure I'm financially okay, so I don't have money worries.
Yeah, but it has to do with your intelligence level, too. Like, if you were born with a lower intelligence, and if you were uglier.
So you're saying that I'm, super hot and super smart. Tell me more.
Well, you are super hot and super smart, and if you were a little dumber, then life isn't as easy for people that are less intelligent, because you can't, if you don't have the actual intelligence to get a decent job and you're not hot.
First of all,
I'm definitely joking. I don't for you.
Nothing wrong with working at McDonald's, man.
But forever, that you're not going to be able to support yourself or your family or anybody on your
upper management makes okay money. I'm not trying to say everybody should work at McDonald's. But then
you're smart. So we're talking about dumb people.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I do think that, I've worked hard to, get myself to this life of, not stressed out. And then a lot of it has to do with the partner I chose, too. Mm-hmm. A lot of people stress, and, when you see somebody just super upset all the time, they always got something going on.
Yeah.
It stems from, a lot of the time, they're either, worried about paying bills, so they're stressed about money, or they're worried about their husband or their boyfriend, or...
Who's an asshole.
Who's an asshole, or, they're whatever kind of stress. And a lot of the time, those two situations combine, so stressed out, I have no money, and my husband got laid off, and we're fighting a lot, and all that stuff. And I don't have a lot of that. So when it comes down to these kind of shows and these episodes, I'm like, well, I can't say, what I did in that situation is because it's never happened to me. Because my life has been fairly fine.
We pick our partners for a reason, and we pick our partners based on our first families. So if our relationship with our first family, our mom and dad, was stable, you're generally trying to find a partner who meets that level.
Makes sense.
Right? Like, I was talking to a girl yesterday on a podcast, and she was in a abusive relationship, and the first thing I thought was, because in order to not know what your boundaries are, you are taught this, And my first question was, what was your relationship like with your first family, with your parents? And it turns out she ended up in foster care, and her stepfather was always yelling and throwing at her room.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, and then no boundaries, because this is how men act.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I definitely was raised in a very stable environment, mom, dad, and everything. But it is interesting. Like, I'm not saying my sister failed at life in any way. Like, she's great too, but we definitely had a different path when it came to like understanding money, and she got herself into debt at a young age, and she attached herself to this boyfriend at a very young age, and he ended up like breaking her heart and also fucking her over financially. So she got a really like shitty head start when it came to you know, but she's doing great now. So again, Steph, this is 2 episodes in a row. If you're listening,
yeah,
I'm not talking shit about you, but it's funny though, because we were raised in the same house, right? So like different people are different thing, and by all means, I'm not saying I'm like the best. Like, I've got a lot of my own issues.
But there also is genetics in play here,
Sure.
and both you and your sister were adopted.
She wasn't adopted. Do you not know this story?
You know what? I don't really listen to you. I kind of glaze over when you talk.
Okay. For all of you guys,
I thought you were both adopted.
No, so you should go to my podcast and listen to the one with my dad, actually.
I have listened to it.
Okay. So I'll give you guys kind of the like Cole's notes.
Yeah, do it.
Of what happened, but my parents were together and they were trying for kids for like a long time. Like in that podcast with my dad, he says 5 years, but my mom corrected him. It was more like 10 or more.
Yeah.
They were like trying. We're told that they couldn't have kids. And so they had kind of given up and decided to adopt, and that was a whole process as well. It took them forever to get approved for adoption because my dad was in the army, and apparently those are second-class citizens.
Oh my god.
I think because they think you're not going to provide a stable life because you'll be moving around and stuff.
Sure.
So anyways, they get the call one day, come pick up your baby, you've been approved. Come tomorrow.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah, so they're, can we have an extra day, please? Like, we need to buy a crib and all that shit. So they drove to Red Deer, picked me up, which is like an hour and a half away for our listeners out of province. So they went and got me, brought me home, blah, blah, blah. They were super excited, decided to celebrate that night. Banged one out, got pregnant with my sister.
Get out! No!
And doesn't that just show you that the human body is so fucked up? My mom was so stressed out trying to like conceive this baby, and it took over her thoughts. Her body was like, no.
You know, my brother was adopted. My older brother
Yeah.
is 18 months older than me, and he was adopted because my mom and dad couldn't have babies. And so, like, I think 6-7 years they tried, and then, I mean, I was conceived 9 months after he came into their lives.
So funny. Like, yeah, it's like the body is like, okay, like your body is relaxed now. And you hear that story so often. Like, it's a very common story. But yeah, so then Steph came around. We're only 13 months apart.
Wow.
So that's a busy household growing up. I've talked about this before, I'm sure, that I had growing up a lot of this like jealousy. You guys love her more than me.
Did you feel that?
Only because I was a brat. They didn't show me love any differently. Looking back in hindsight, I know that, like, as an adult now, and like as a parent especially, I was just a brattier kid, so I got in trouble more often. I got yelled at more often. They favored her because she was that cute little girl who just sat there. So of course, like, I see it with my own kids. Like, Colton is fucking a harder kid to parent, so I'm meaner to him. If he was adopted, he'd probably do the same thing. You love Kenna more than me.
My kids used to say that all the time, and my response was, Johnny would say, you love Amanda more. I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, right now, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, genetics does have something to play, and I've thought about that before too.
Yeah.
But, like, nature versus nurture, everything. Like, we were raised in the same home with it. But she also, like, Steph had the ability to sit back and kind of watch the mistakes I made too when it came to, like, getting in trouble and stuff. So that's why she...
Let's talk about nature over nurture, because we both have experience with this.
Yeah.
You were born in a family, and so, you know, how do you feel about the way that your personality was formed by nature versus nurture?
I actually have a lot to say about this, because me and my mom, my like adopted mom, I don't know. So whenever I say mom, I'm talking about like my family that raised me, because I don't know anybody else. We are so much alike. It's actually like weird. And we even look alike. So in the episode that I talked to with my dad, when he went into the office like to pick me up, they kind of like went, like, the people who work there were like, what the fuck? Because they thought it was the birth mother coming back. Like, my mom looks so much like her, apparently.
Insane.
Like, isn't that weird how that
it
works
is.
out? So, like, we don't look like I think my sister looks more like that family, but I don't know. Our personalities are like so many things that I do, I'm like, I have memories of my mom doing that as a child. So nurture imprints on you, like the way that I parent, the way that I like. Sometimes I'll like yell at my kids and do
you
this.
Hear
like,
your mother's words coming out of your mouth.
Totally, like, and would I have been this way? If I was raised in that house or not, I don't know. Like, I think nurture plays a lot, but I don't know.
Interesting. You know, because my experience with it is, so my brother was brought into our life as a baby. Like, same thing, like he was a couple days old or a week old or whatever, and he came into our life. And he was such a misfit. Like, he did not belong in our family at all. Like, he was aggressive and angry, and like he was that, like, as a teenager, like, we grew up in Calgary, and we're all wearing our jeans and our t-shirts and shit, and he'd be wearing this like belt buckle the size of his head, and he was mean. Like, he was a mean motherfucker, and he would like beat us, like he would like hit us and shit.
He probably had a lot of like because coming from somebody who is adopted, you feel this like sense of like you're like an outsider a little bit, like, and
but I don't know how he would have felt that, because
you feel that whether you're I was not treated that way at all, but I still felt it.
Okay.
Right? So, and I think knowing your story with your mom a little bit, like, did your mom treat him any differently?
Well, she was quite cruel to him.
Yeah.
But she was quite cruel to all of us.
But you guys were at least the natural children, so it sucks, but it's not the same. When it's like you were taken in by this family, but you can tell you're not really wanted, a lot of people will take that and turn, it's like the anger thing.
He was angry and mean, and he used to like beat the shit out of us.
Defense mechanism, could it be?
And his personality just did not fit with us, like right from the get-go. And like nature versus nurture, like me and so I have a natural brother and a natural sister as well, and we are all this laid back, soft spoken. Well, I'm not really soft spoken, but you know what I mean. Like, we don't get riled up about much, and he was just this fucking wingnut. And I literally haven't talked to him in probably 15 years. Like, he's just sort of cut all contact with us, his only family that he knows. And so I think nature versus nurture, I'm thinking it's all nature.
But I think it really does depend on circumstance, right? Like, you can there's lots of people who have natural children, natural families, and they're still estranged from them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, I think that just happens to be a coincidence in your case. Because, like, my mom doesn't talk to her sister, and they haven't talked for years, and my dad actually doesn't talk to his sister either. Like,
okay, but here's another story. So I have a friend, his name is Garner, and he was adopted. He was adopted at birth. But he found out later that he had, like, a natural, like, his parents stayed together, and they had 2 other children. So they gave him up quite young, and then had 2 other children. And he found out later that his brother, he walks like his brother, he talks like his brother. Like, they have the same mannerisms, the same everything. Yeah. So you're thinking, like, it's crazy that you're, like, I really believe that you are born into a particular soul, like, you are who you are. Yeah. Like, if I would have met you when you were 6 years old, the things that you found funny at 6, I think you'd still have the same personality, the same sense of humor.
I know what you mean, and I agree for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You are born who you are, and, like, the way you laugh and the way you act, it's just determined, like, at birth.
Okay, but certain, like, behavioral things can be changed based on circumstances, though.
Yes, and so if you were, beat the shit out of and that kind of stuff, then
like trauma,
for sure, trauma will, but I still think that you are going to be who you are, Do
you think some people are better equipped to handle trauma?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so what would that be? So, like, this is literally, I've never even put any thought into this until right now, so this is, like, a new thing for me, but, like, if there's, like, a family and there's, like, 2 daughters and they both get molested. Yeah. Where one gets, like, super fucked up about it and the other one's like, okay, well, it happened to me, it sucked, but, like, I can move on.
And I'm going to overcome it.
Totally. So what is the difference in personality, and, like, how is it, like, no, you're born as somebody who's going to get fucked up from it, or you're born as somebody who's going to overcome it?
I don't even know why, but if you listen to one of my recent podcasts with this guy named Nelson Tressler, he was born into a family. His mom was 15 years old. his grandfather went and shot a police officer thinking it was the woman who raped his daughter and ended up in prison. So he grew up in this small town and people were all, hating on him, and he was dyslexic and he was poor, and his mother ended up marrying a man who beat him and her, and he says he's got memories going, I will overcome this, I will get past this. It's like grade 4 he was going, oh yeah, I'm going to university, I'm getting over this, in this being like completely broke, completely poor, and going, fuck this.
Where there's other people who are like, what do you expect? Of course I'm a piece of shit. Like, look where I came from.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Like, how and why?
And you're not, like, are these people even aware of what they're doing as they're doing it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, not when you're young and you just have this feeling of, not me,
Is there,
Not today, Satan.
That's a clip. So is there a way to imprint that kind of thinking on somebody? You think you either have it or you don't?
Yeah. Like, I really do, because can you imagine this child? And so, like, I tried to dig a little deeper, like, what was your relationship with your mom? I had to take care of her. What was the relationship with your brothers and sisters? I had to take care of them.
Yeah.
So you were born as this person who is meant to take care of your whole family as a child.
But but what if he happened to have the personality, like the victim personality? That wouldn't have changed.
He would have been like what you would expect.
For sure, but what I'm saying is he still would have had to take care of his mom, and he still would have had to take care of his siblings. And then as an adult, he would be like, I'm not fucking taking care of anybody because I had to do that, and now
I'm just going to sit in my drug-induced coma.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing to think about, that certain people handle things differently. Like, just even back to my sister, we have such different memories of our childhood. Like, she's like, well, everybody has childhood trauma. Like, it's like she says it quite often, right? About probably the same situation where my dad yelled or punched a hole in the wall.
And
or
then
whatever,
you're
right?
like, what?
And I'm like, what? I barely remember that. And it really imprinted on her brain because it affected her. And like another one of my friends I was talking to about the whole Colton thing and how certain kids are sensitive and everything. Yeah. And she goes, I have specific memories of my parents crushing my soul. And it reminds me a little bit of you because you were like a sensitive child too. But she said one day she woke her dad up and she was so excited to show him something on TV because it was like something that he liked or whatever it was. And she, in her mind as a 6-year-old, was like, Dad is going to be so happy I'm waking him up to show him this because he loves whatever this is. He's going to praise me and be happy. And she said she went in the room and she woke him up. It was a Saturday morning or something. And, what the fuck are you doing waking me up? Get out of the room. Like, let me sleep, you little shit, whatever, right? She still thinks about that. Like, it crushed her so much where I'm like, I don't know if that happened to me. Maybe it would, right?
And
like,
you probably do that to your children every day.
Maybe. But, like for something like that to happen to like somebody else, it'd be like, that would just be okay, Dad didn't want to get woken up today. You know what I mean? Like, it's just funny how something so tiny can affect you
I think
such
it
long
depends
term.
on how often Dad actually yells at you.
True.
If this was unnormal or uncharacteristic behavior for her dad, then it would scar her.
Right, I see. So getting yelled...
So was
no, I think opposite of that.
Do you?
Yes. Yeah. I think if it happens all the time, you're going to pick one out and that's going to be the scarring one. But I think if it happens once, it's like... I don't know. Maybe, but I'm such a different person, so I have such a hard time wrapping my mind around.
The only thing that I can remember is, like my father was completely mellow. I don't actually have any memories of him yelling at me or spanking me or whatever. But I do have one memory, and it was like, I was going to buy a present for my mom, and he said something flippant to me, like, she's not gonna like it, or like, he must have been in a mood in that moment, and I remember it. Like, I was probably 9 years old, and it was like what? Like, he's raised his voice to me. And because I wasn't used to that,
it stuck out.
It stuck out as, but not soul crushing, but like, what the fuck? But I do have my own trauma.
And I think, like, I want to say we all do, but I'm like, do I? Or maybe I've repressed it so far now.
No, like, I think that maybe your life has just been so good.
That sounds really it sounds really stupid
Like
and like flippant, but I just honestly am like, I can't think, like, my life has been fine. I've had moments where I was sad. I've had moments where I was embarrassed.
I think it all comes down to the person that you were born as. And like I've talked to other people who were adopted at birth and felt this complete trauma about the fact that they were adopted. Their parents were wonderful. Yeah. Everything was great, but they felt abandoned in their soul.
Yeah, see, like,
you know?
I feel like I should feel that way because that's like what you're supposed to feel like.
Oh, don't go down that road.
But like I haven't. I've gone 35 years and I definitely have.
Do you want to meet them?
No. Like,
no,
okay,
you have no desire.
If somebody handed them to me on a platter and said, this is your mother, you know, I wouldn't say no to it. Like, I would do it. But am I going to take out of curiosity, am I going to take the effort and go look? I don't think so.
And can you imagine out there you might have a sister?
I'm so worried about introducing extra drama to my life that I just don't. Isn't that maybe like I must have something weird around it? I think I've told the story before, and anybody who's heard it, I'm sorry for repeating it. But like I did the 23andMe DNA thing, just out of curiosity because I didn't know. Like, what am I? Irish, English? I don't fucking know. Right? Do I have any health issues? I don't know. I go to the doctor and they're like, "Do you have a history of health in your family?" I'm
no idea.
No clue. So I'm like, I might as well try this, see what I got.
Yeah.
And it puts your DNA in a database, and they'll email you if you have relatives. So I got an email shortly after I did it saying you have a first cousin. She was like 50 something and she lives in Ontario. So I go, how do I have a first cousin? Like, if you think about, I'm like, that's interesting. Like, how does that work out? And anyways, we got in touch with each other. And
Did you?
She was also adopted, though. So if she wasn't adopted and she knew her family, it would have been like, holy fuck, like, this is like a gateway into my life. Like, I'm probably going to be able to figure out who my family is. And she was also adopted, so she was on the hunt, too. So we were kind of like at a stalemate. Like, we couldn't really help each other, because do you know anything? Nope. Do you? Nope. Whatever, right? And you're 50, I'm 32, or whatever it was
That's a big difference.
Totally. How does that work? So she went down the rabbit hole because I think she probably is one of those people who wanted to know she had to find out, right? So she's like, I'm going to help you, blah, blah, blah. She ended up finding her mother.
Did she?
But her mother was on the other side of the family tree than me, so we must be related on her father's side or something. So she did a bit of digging and was asking family members through there if you could, you know, she was like, I had a phone conversation with her, right? Like, she lives in Ontario, and we talked on the phone. She's like, I'm going to help you find. I was like, go ahead, like, if you want to. But I didn't want to take it, because anyway, so at one point she sent me a picture. She said, I think this is your mom. And she sent me this picture, and the woman looked kind of like haggard and gross, and I had like a pit in my stomach of like, ugh, that's her. And I felt, it turns out it wasn't her. We figured it out, but like, I don't want to deal with that disappointment and like
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So I would almost rather not know. So, you know, I think she kind of gave up on, because at one point she was like calling me all the time and reaching out, and I'm gonna do this for you. We're gonna find your family. And I was like, okay. And like I said, if she were to hand me on a platter and say, these are your family members, I wouldn't say like, oh fuck, I don't care. Of course I would look into it and try to, you know, reach out or whatever. And parts of me throughout my life growing up, I've always kind of been curious about it, but yeah, I don't know.
I would definitely want to know, and I wish that I was adopted
so I could go on this hunt.
So I could go on the hunt, and you know, but I think about, oh my god, like me and my mother are so completely different. Like, if you could imagine a person completely different than me, that would be my mother. Yeah. And I think that had I been adopted and I found her, I'd be like, what do I do with this?
Oh, there you go, right? Like, that's a very, like, so...
I'm so not connected to
it just mom. Really, I feel, because my life is, like, pretty good, we've been over it, I'm so perfect, well, like, but really, like, I feel good in my life and pretty content. What if I introduce these new people into my life and it adds a bunch of drama and stress? Like, who knows? It could, maybe it won't. Yeah. But, like, the fear of that is enough for me to not put the effort in. And I feel content. Like, I feel happy.
You know what? If you feel fine and you feel happy, then you probably don't need to go any further.
Yeah.
And
part of me is curious, though. And, you know, like, a big part of me is, like, growing up, like, I don't have anybody blood related to me. I think having kids really kind of, like, just solved any longing I had to have like this like blood relationship with, like, I have kids now. Yeah. There's something connected to me that was in my body that has the same DNA as me. Like, I have kids. Like, that, seriously, if I never had kids, I might feel differently.
Yeah.
But I feel okay about it. Like, I really do. I like the life I've built. I like what's going on. But, you know, if you're out there, call me, Mom.
if you're a woman, I'm going to say 55, 60.
Yeah.
Then, and you look like this.
And you lived in Red Deer in 1985.
Yeah. Give us a call.
Give us a call. Wouldn't that be crazy? Fuck. This podcast has such a big reach.
Yeah.
It's bound to get through. Okay, let's do some what the fucks.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody. It's time for our favorite segment. It's called the Wine and...
What the fuck?
What the fuck? So this is where we scour the internet. We search for things that make us go, what the fuck?
And we drink wine, which is the best part.
What do you got there?
So today I'm drinking something. I have no idea what it tastes like. I've never drank it before. I don't even know where I got it.
Okay,
it's
that's
like
a good sign.
it's been in my house.
It could be a $300 bottle for all we know.
Well, but it's a twist cap.
Does it have to be?
Come on, have you ever seen a really expensive?
I've never seen a really expensive. Did it just pop?
And smoked. What do you think? What do you think that means?
Or let's see. Worst case, it's not good. Okay, I've never seen that before.
That's it. Okay, I was gonna say like you don't get like that pop sound.
Anybody who's just listening and not watching, she cracked it open and
it made a popping sound, and then there was smoke that came out of the bottle.
Yeah, like it was like carbonated almost. I feel like it's maybe gone bad.
Yeah, I think it might be. Let's see.
Oh yeah.
It's bad.
I hope that's not an expensive bottle. You just wasted it.
Why? I'm giving it to you. Let's try it.
Okay.
It doesn't taste bad. Like, it doesn't taste like it's gone bad.
No.
But it's, okay, so it's called a Summer House Syrah from New Zealand. 2013, another good year. And it tastes really light.
Yeah, it does. Is it supposed to be light? Let me just read there's a poem on the bottle.
Read the poem.
No.
it tastes a little bit like Kool-Aid.
As a river remembers each pebble, or a grape the architecture of its vines.
Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Stop already.
Are you into poetry? Oh, see, it's so good, it's like making her choke.
No. You know what? I wish that I was like more like that, but I can't help it. Like, if someone read me a poem, I'd be like 2 lines in and I would glaze over.
And I'm like, what are you trying to... Just say what you mean.
Just say you want to get into my pants.
Yeah, like, poems have to be so, like, beat around the bush with all these crazy words. I'm like, just say what you want to say. Why do I have... Like, do you remember in school you'd have to... What do you think the author was trying to tell us in this... Why couldn't they just tell... Why do I have to interpret it? Why does it... Like, is it a brain game?
Sometimes it can be good when that kind of shit happens. And maybe we're just not... I don't know. Maybe we're just not classy enough
have
to like
been
poetry.
in a book club?
No. Have you?
I have, but I was like one of the only ones who read the book. I actually was taking it seriously, and like, no, everybody else wanted to drink wine, and then we ended up like just not really doing it anymore. But like, some of the books I read at the end is like questions for book club groups, and it's like you would ask, what do you think the author meant when they made this character,
Sounds
do this?
Like grade 12 high school
English. But I do kind of see the appeal of like analyzing things, and everybody, it's like when we take one of our what the fucks and we take our different perspectives in our own life, and I don't know, I think that's maybe that must be what people do with poetry. But poetry is something I cannot get into.
How about like a limerick? There once was a woman from Nantucket.
Well, those are good. Or my daughter has like her cute poem she comes home with on Valentine's Day. I'm like, now that's a poem.
Now anything that start with roses or red is a good poem.
Or I made this flower, or I made this poem just for you, or wow. I'm like, oh, you did, so sweet.
Well, that's cute.
Yeah, it is. She's
that's
fucking cute. My kid is cute, alright? One of them is. The other one stinks. He's a boy, though.
You're gonna have to stop saying that, because your kid is gonna have the biggest complex.
About stinking?
No! But I can't remember how many times on this podcast you've said
I've talked shit about it.
That Kenna is your favorite.
Oh, I know.
And
but it's like, it's mostly a joke, but you're right, I shouldn't. Like, I fucking love Colton.
I know you do,
I know,
but
you're right.
But every time I hear you say it, I get a little bit of, I get that.
Okay, fine, I'll be nice to my son.
Because He's a sweet little boy.
He is. He is such a good heart. He is a good boy. Obviously I love him so much. He's my first child. When I first had him, I'm like, I will never love anything more than this.
Yeah. Until you got second
until
job.
I had Kenna. He was out the door. It's just there's I find
what is it?
It's boy versus girl.
It's not.
It is for me, because the things that annoy me about him are the boy qualities, the rowdiness, the jumping. When he's being a sweetie pie and being caring and considerate, I have no issues with him. But that's how girls are majority of the time.
Yeah.
When we had a little girl over today, COVID rules, I know, whatever. She was playing with Kenna, and they were just sitting there playing with their toys, and they were being so quiet. Colton comes into the room, boom, boom, boom. I'm just fuck, shut up. But it's my own issues. I don't like him because of that.
I think that I kind of had the reverse. Amanda was so sensitive. She wasn't the funny little girl. She was the sensitive, over dramatization, gonna cry for 3 hours and have a fit on the floor girl. Okay. Whereas my son was smashing things with hammers and killing things.
So something was always noisy in your house, though.
Oh my God!
It was a hammer or tantrum.
Or crying. Yeah. So I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, Johnny was never upset about things that were going on. He was always he was always causing the trouble, and then he would have this look in his eyes, hey, look what I did.
I think that's how McKenna
this little demon child, and I just fucking love that.
That's what I'm saying. There's something about McKenna's personality. She's just so fucking smart and cute, and I just love her. And that's not to say I don't love Colton. He's gonna be an amazing adult. I know he is. He's very smart. He's athletic. He's really thoughtful. He's just an annoying fucking boy.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up with boys. Boys are fucking annoying.
Well, I had an annoying little girl.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't.
He's annoying for his boy things though, for the smashing and the jumping. That's what annoys me. His tantrums are tantrums. That's not really what annoys me about him. It's the fact that he never stops moving. He's always smashing something.
My kid
he can't sit on his chair and eat dinner. He's on the floor, up on the chair. That's the kind of stuff that annoys me about him. But that's my own issue because Carson's who cares? Let him do it. And I'm make him sit in his chair.
Yeah, you're trying to You're trying to contain.
I'm trying to make him who I want him to be. A perfect little. Not that Kenna's perfect. Believe me, she's a psycho. She's got her own issues.
Which is what you love about her, interestingly enough, don't you? The little demon in her, you're yeah.
Because she's also a sweetie pie. But when we went away the other weekend, our friends were they said they're because we kind of parent each other's kids, It's if the kids are acting, I have no issue with somebody being Kenna, get down. You need, it doesn't have to be me who disciplines them. I don't care. Don't spank my kid, but you can tell them to calm down. I have no issue with that. But anyways, and Adam goes, I gave up talking to Kenna. She doesn't listen to anybody but you guys. He's I asked her to be quiet and she just stared at me and I'm she does not give a fuck. But she doesn't. But if we were to talk to her, she would listen, sort of. But she just has this, I do whatever I want personality and I'm kind of into it. It annoys me and it sucks. It's gonna suck when she's
the evil little girl. Girls are evil.
It's this confidence she has. She just I'm we were joking. She was taking too long to get ready. We were going on a hike when we were in Nelson, and I'm we're gonna leave you here. And she's that's fine. She's I'll just touch all your stuff, and I'm I'll eat whatever I want. This is my 4-year-old stuff.
Are you sure that wasn't what you said?
And I'm okay, you win. I don't want you touching on my stuff and eating all the snacks, so I'll wait.
That is hilarious. Did she really say that?
That's what she said, and she said it to me before, even at home. I'm I'm gonna leave you here. She's good.
I'll eat whatever I want. Okay, seriously, do you not have a memory of a child going, when I grow up, I'm going to eat ice cream every day. Every meal, I'm going to have ice cream and I'm going to do whatever I want.
And I'll stay up as late as I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, she,
and watch as much cartoons.
That's the thing, is Colton is very trustworthy. I leave him at home sometimes, if I go to the store quickly, a 10-minute thing, or I'll leave him at home when I go pick Kenna up from daycare, so it's 10 minutes. Not worried at all, because I know what he'll do. He'll sit on the couch and wait for me to get home, because he is a rule follower, and if I tell him that's what I'm go get yourself.
Are you a rule follower?
I actually am. I am a rule follower.
I'm not.
Kirsten's not either. He's rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
But McKenna, I would not leave her alone for a second, because you would tell her honey, I'm going to be gone for 10 minutes. Can you just make sure you sit on the couch?
And you can see her mind.
If you're hungry, the
going.
snacks are over there. She'd be on the front lawn. Guaranteed. She'd be like, I wonder what's out here. Like, where Colton, like, he's afraid of, like, authority and stuff. He would.
He
Like,
wants to please you.
you can threaten him with, like, punishment, and he'll be like, okay. You can threaten her with, like, leaving her alone, and she's like, cool, good. I'd actually prefer that. Please leave.
Yeah.
I'll touch all your stuff. Like, that's what she said. I'm like, touch all my stuff? What are you gonna... What stuff?
I can't believe that. That is so fucking funny.
But that's, I'm like, you're so fucking cute and smart. Like, you know what I mean?
This is what I'm gonna say to you. You're gonna be like, Monica, can I come over? Or I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna touch all your stuff.
No, that's the worst thing you could do to me.
What stuff don't you want me to touch?
Oh, you know, this bedside drawer.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to touch that. That's kind of gross.
Okay, so anyways, we have a wine and what the fuck. Let's do that.
That's what we're here for.
You just get so into talking to me.
I know. I love you so much.
So earlier we were talking about like adoption and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I thought we would kind of stay on the same sort of topic, and now I just lost it, of course. What is going on here? So this is one about, am I the asshole for telling my daughter the truth about why I wasn't in her life? So to start, my ex and I were 19 when she got pregnant. We had recently broke up, and she found out a couple weeks later that she was pregnant. She said she was going to get an abortion, but she didn't want me there, only her sister. So I was always under the belief that she had aborted. She only contacted me once saying it was done, and we didn't speak again. Fast forward 19 years later, I found out about a month ago that was a lie. My ex passed away 3 years ago, and my daughter Kara has been living with her uncle. She was the one to reach out to give me the heads up after she had expressed an interest in wanting us to connect. He and I spoke at, like the uncle and I spoke at length, because I was feeling some pretty strong emotions like rage for never being told about her.
Fair.
My ex had backed out of the abortion but didn't want me involved because we were broken up, so she decided not to tell me. But he told me that Kara doesn't know about that. Apparently, I wasn't ready for fatherhood because we were both so young. So I bailed. That's what the daughter thinks. That's fucked.
That is really...
She grew up thinking her dad was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, that does a number on people.
It does.
So I couldn't believe it. Her uncle told me he knows his sister was wrong, but had promised that Kara doesn't have any negative feelings towards me, and my ex never painted me as some villain, just a young guy who knew that he couldn't take care of her. So the daughter now, Kara's messaged me and we've been talking. I've met her twice and it's been crazy emotional. Looking at this girl who looks just like me and hurting that we're just getting to know each other.
Ugh.
So far, our conversations have only been about what her life was like, how my life is, what her wants and her future goals are, getting to know each other. We met again. She finally decided to ask me the obvious questions about what made me not want to be involved. How did I feel? What went through my mind? Did I ever think about her? I've been thinking about what to do, but in that moment, I just didn't have it in me to lie, so I was honest. That was when I told her about the abortion. And I had no idea that she even existed. Kara was a bit emotional, we talked some more, and she said she still wants me involved. That night, my messages were blowing up, not just from Rob, but from grandparents as well. They were all outraged at me for telling Kara about her mom, because she yelled at all of them and is refusing to take their calls, because now she feels like you guys all lied to me for this long. Yes, the lie was terrible, but I just ruined the image that she had of her late mother for my own benefit. Rob called me a selfish dick for not taking into consideration how this would affect Kara finding out about this. So right now I feel like shit. I get that honesty is the best policy, but in this case, I don't know if I was the asshole for doing it. I'm still learning this whole dad business, so I don't know if I dropped the ball here. Am I the asshole?
No.
Yeah.
You are not the fucking asshole at all. And I just feel like your ex-partner, like even when she had that child so young, like it honestly makes me feel so emotional just thinking about, like, you know how much you love your child,
Yeah.
right? Like, do you think that a man would love his child less?
No.
Like, I feel so fucking mad about this.
He
He was ripped off, like, for 20 years, 19 years
That's-
from his daughter.
like that, and that's the thing, is like, you, as women, we think, well, they're in my body, they're my child, I get to make the decision. But it's his kid too.
It's
and
his-
if he's
Ugh.
not like an abusive asshole or a drug addict or whatever, like he seems like a pretty level-headed guy.
Like, why wouldn't you include that man in your child's life? Your child would have benefited
Yeah.
so much. And honestly, the young mom, like, you make stupid decisions when you're 19, but at some point you gotta come clean. Like,
Yeah.
you robbed your daughter of
I can
Of
see
a
why the daughter is
father.
upset at
Oh.
everybody is. But then like
Yeah.
the uncle and the
like,
grandparents
fuck them. Like,
they're-
seriously, fuck you.
they're trying to hold, the mom's
As
wishes.
a fucking angel. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Mom wasn't an angel, and she made a
Yeah.
mistake. Like, I don't know what kind of relationship
Yeah.
she had with her daughter. Maybe it was amazing, but this was a mistake. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so mad. I'm
Yeah.
so mad
I
about
know.
it.
There's so much to be said because like I do have a friend who had a child young, and dad was involved for the first couple of years, but it
Mhm.
started to be that he wasn't showing up, and poor little boy was sitting and waiting, and she said, you know what, fuck this,
Sure.
you're out of here, you're not part of our lives anymore, I'm changing my number, I am changing like my
Sure.
name on Facebook, you are not going to be able to find me, and you're not going to be able to find your son. And she pretty much was hiding from him forever.
Did she make him sign away his parental rights?
I don't think so. She never went after him for money, so he's never paid a dime.
Yeah.
She just said,
Done.
we're done. But because he has kind of looked for her sometimes, and it's hard to find her, because she has made it, like, she's trying to hide, right? Like, she's
Yeah.
not making herself public or whatever. But part of me always kind of thought, like, yes, he was a douchebag back then. He was.
And he was young, right?
And he was young, yeah. But do you think maybe he could have had the chance, like, if he's actually reaching out and trying, maybe he has changed, and, like, you're depriving your son of a dad. And she has her reasons, because she's done light stalking of him, and in her mind, she's like, he's still a piece of shit. Like, that's how she's justified, like, doing this. And she might be right. I've never done the digging myself.
If he really wanted to find his son, he could. He would just, especially if he's Canadian.
That's true.
All he would have to do is say,
Yeah, good point.
I want to be in my child's life, and a judge would say, yes.
Yeah, here they are.
But
like,
he hasn't, and
yeah.
he has not
Good point.
provided. He has not provided. Okay, I don't believe that support and seeing your children are the same. Like it, one.
like, you mean financial support?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
one does not qualify the other.
Yeah.
Like you do not have to be like. Yes, you need to supply financial support to your children, but one doesn't constitute the other. Like
Yes.
if you do this, you can do that.
Yeah.
Like I don't. That's
Yeah.
not a thing.
Yeah.
But my guess is your friend is right because
I think you're right. Too.
he has not tried. And
No.
I also have a friend in the same situation, and she got pregnant with a guy, and he just kept doing the same thing that you were talking
Yeah.
about, saying he was going to show up,
hard
and he
for the
didn't.
kid.
Incredibly difficult for
Yeah.
the kid. And then she said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And she actually made him sign away his parental rights.
And he did it.
He did it.
Yeah, what does that say? Fuck, can you imagine?
No.
Signing away your rights, be like, nah, I'm good.
But that makes it so that she can take the kid on a holiday. Once you
Yeah.
sign away your parental
Yeah.
rights, then you can now take your kid anywhere you want.
So
You
she
can
was
fly.
able to travel with him though, so I wonder how she did that. I'm trying to think now, like, cause the dad was on the birth certificate, and technically he does have the last name, he just doesn't go by it. And I feel like I definitely should know all these details. I just, like, of course, I actually agree with you that I think she was
Yeah.
right, but a part of me is like, poor boy was raised without a dad, and like
But sometimes that's good.
it is, you're right, because would you rather have a shitty dad?
Yeah.
Karsten's dad actually wasn't in his life really, and he was there, he wasn't there, he would go every, second weekend or whatever, but it wasn't like, he wasn't the best dad.
Often as the mom, if you don't have the right support and the dad is there and he's hurting the child by
Yeah.
not showing up,
You
it's
just say,
okay
"Fuck
to
it."
say, you know what, you're out.
Yeah.
You're out. Now, if that dad wanted to get back in, he could.
Yeah.
Like, he's got legal rights, and
Yeah.
you can find somebody. It's not that hard.
Totally.
It's not that hard. But in this situation, I'm just feeling
Yeah.
so upset about
Yeah.
it because...
The daughter lost out. This dad, like, he seems like
Yeah.
he really is emotional and shit, like, sad. It's not like he was like, oh, whatever, like.
Yeah.
Because I find some dads like just don't have that emotional connection to their kids, and I wonder
who doesn't.
Well, nobody in my life, but
Yeah.
like you've seen it. How many people in the world have dads that aren't part of their lives?
Yeah,
Like
that's not fair. Moms are cunts too.
totally.
You know.
Fair enough. But do you think that it would be easier to give, like, as a dad, to be like, fuck, whatever, I'll see these kids when I see them. If I don't, I don't. When you don't like the mom as much, like, if you really.
No.
Okay, so what do you think?
Like,
What's the reason for not wanting to be around your
like,
kids?
there's got to be some kind of trauma or something there. Like, I think in the beginning, if you get pregnant with your girlfriend and you're 14,
Yeah.
then you don't have the maturity to go, I have a child.
But what if you're an adult? Like, okay, so what if you have a fuck buddy and you really like having sex with them, but you don't really like their personality that much?
Sure.
Like, it's like they're a whatever to you. You don't like spending time with
Okay,
them?
let's talk about Karsten.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about someone that you love. So Karsten has a fuck buddy, like not right now, but
He does?
no, he doesn't. But what if he did, like, just say that he had before you,
Mhm.
and now he finds out that he has a child
Oh, okay. Like,
Right?
that he never knew about.
that he never knew about.
Okay.
Is he gonna go like, well, I don't know this child, so
No. That's not even what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I'm on the same page with you there. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is, like, those guys who do decide to just not be part of their kids' lives,
yeah.
why do they do that? Is it because they ended up getting somebody pregnant that they don't actually like that much, so they have a hard time emotionally connecting to that child because it's like they don't fucking care? Like, why? Or what else?
I
Maybe
don't
I'm
know.
wrong. What is it then?
I don't know, because your child has, okay, so you have sex with somebody, they get pregnant, but you have half of you walking around.
But I wonder, because for a woman, there's like, I absolutely understand that. I just don't know it from the man's point of view. Do they feel that same connection? Because even when I was pregnant, Karsten didn't have the same connection to our baby as I did. He didn't give a fuck until he held it, right?
But then he did.
But then he did. But okay, so in this scenario, we're talking about make-believe story. The dad has held the baby, has had moments with the baby, and still decided to fucking leave. How do they do that?
I don't know.
How? Like,
Some
but
kind of
women
trauma.
do it.
Like this case that I was just talking about, that my
Yeah.
girlfriend, she had this baby and the dad was in the life, and then it was out, in, out, in, out, and then he said, well, you know, like, it's too much for me, I gotta go. And she's like, okay, sign away your
How do you
parental
just
rights.
do that? Like,
How do you do that? Like, you have to have so much trauma yourself. I don't know how you disconnect from
ever
somebody.
since I had kids, like, I just think of them as like these little like beings and projects, you know, like they start as this like nothing that like needs so much help and love, and they grow into these like like you were once a baby, you know. It's like, what the fuck? Like, the human life is so amazing, and like to not be able to watch your child grow up and learn things is like,
Yeah.
that dad missed out on a lot, and that poor daughter missed out on a lot, and it's really sad, and that mom is the asshole. If anybody's an asshole in that situation, it's the mom.
It is. And all her brothers and sisters and grandparents were all like, yeah, don't, because they're all
They're
agreeing
all on the same page.
that
yeah.
she didn't have to tell him.
Yeah.
And they were upset with him for telling. And I think that, okay,
But they just didn't want to deal with the drama.
mom is gone.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm thinking. The mom is gone and the dad is still there. And so the daughter, who only has one parent
Yeah.
now, are you going to just agree with it? Like, I just didn't want you and I was too young.
Well, yeah, that's the
Like,
thing. Like,
no.
well, that's the thing. Like, you either tell the truth and hurt her feelings about, like, she's gonna now think of her mom a little bit differently, but she'll likely get over that. Like, let her be sad for a bit, but she'll
She'll be fine.
But now she's got this great relationship with her dad. Or you could lie. She still thinks her mom's an angel, and she's always gonna think of the dad as kind of a douche.
You're a dick. Yeah.
Like, he is absolutely not an asshole, and it makes my heart ache for him. Like, he
was robbed.
He was robbed, and she was robbed. And that
Yeah.
mom's a bitch. And it makes me think about the whole, when people die, we like paint this picture of them as they're the most amazing person, and like you've made, you know, the dead mom look like a terrible person. How could you do that? And it's like, well, maybe she was a terrible person.
She had problems. She wasn't thinking clearly.
Just
She
because
shouldn't have
somebody
done it.
dies doesn't mean they're perfect. And I think that's what happens a lot
When
of the
I
time.
die, you'll think of me as perfect.
But I already think of you as perfect, so it's fine. It won't change. It's like, we never say like, oh, that guy died, but he was a piece of shit anyways. Who cares?
Well, we kind of do. We were talking about that. Your ex
Yeah.
was a piece of shit.
Like, and it actually makes me sad to say that, but he kind of was. Like, he wasn't doing good in life, and, like, sorry, anybody who, like, feels strongly
I
about
kind of
that,
wonder,
but-
you know, like I have this strong feeling, and I know it's weird, that we come into life with like something that we need to get over, or we need to accomplish something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is
like
your
a mission,
like
like
your
a goal.
purpose? You know?
So when it's like when you, not that I play video games, but you know, you start a video game and it says like your mission is to blank.
No, I don't know that part, but
Neither do I. I'm just thinking that's what
Okay.
video games are. So your mission,
yeah,
when you log on,
yeah,
your mission is to do this. Once
Yeah.
you've done that mission, then you've won the game.
yes,
Is that what you mean about life? Like
Yes.
you have a mission.
yeah.
What's yours?
Like, I kind of wonder if we're born into this life and we pick our players. Like, okay,
Oh,
you
it is
like.
video games.
Yeah, it is. So, and I was talking to this guy just the other day, who was this spiritual guru on a podcast I was doing, and he said that he believes that you pick your parents and you pick the players in your life.
Okay.
And so you decide like who your players are, and I wonder like yeah, part of me really feels
You're gonna
that.
pick like an abusive asshole dad who beats you. You're gonna pick a
Yeah.
drug addict mom.
Yeah.
Why?
to learn whatever it is that you need to learn in this lifetime.
And then what about if you're that victim mentality person? So then you're trying to learn, but you're like feeling sorry for yourself the whole time.
I don't know.
You think we're in a simulation and like there's people like.
Well, what if like, you know, the whole old soul, new soul idea,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So like you could call me an old soul because I have more insight into like I can.
That's
look
only
at
because
things
you're old.
No, it's not.
Your soul is old because you are old.
You're such a bitch. Okay, no. Like, what if I've been around? Like, what if this is my like?
Oh my god.
What if I've been like 10 times? What if I've like?
I
had
feel like
10
you should be a
lives?
lot smarter than of you.
But just because I can't know how to plug in the microphones doesn't make me not smart, Amanda.
No, I know. I do, all kidding aside, like, I do see what you're saying. So you think, like, there's certain souls that have been around the block, and the ones that
Yeah.
maybe are more, like, the victim mentality, the more emotional, whatever, those
I would
are, like,
say
they're on
they're-
their first round?
Yeah, they're on their. Whereas other people were like, I've been down this road. I know this isn't gonna work. We need to
Like, deep in your soul, you know? Like, because,
Yeah.
like, okay, so, like, kind of like what I was saying earlier, like, something about, I just, like, don't, things don't affect me as much. I don't, like, hold
Yeah.
on to things, maybe
Yes.
because, like, and I don't know that I've been around the block, and it's not like, I've been there before, but just something, like,
But
instinctively.
it would say that because you are so content with yourself, you're like, oh fuck, been there, done that. Like,
it is what it is. Like, overall, I feel like I'm just content with myself. Like,
but
although I'm not. I have a lot of improving to do.
I don't believe that's true.
think I'm
No. But if you're gonna say, oh, I need to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah. No, personality-wise, too, but I do see what you're saying. Overall, like, I'm happy with who I am as a human.
Overall,
Yeah.
you're not wallowing in the misery of your life, which
I've-
people do.
I've never been, like, all these people who are like, I beat up on myself and I'm such a piece of shit. I'm like, what? Like, I can't even imagine,
Yeah.
like, hating yourself. I'm like, why? Like,
Like,
just
I think
be better then.
Like, I'm fucking awesome, and if you all could be as amazing as me, your
See,
life
I
would
don't
be
even
better.
think that. I just think, like, I am willing to learn and I'm willing to question things. And
Yeah.
as I get older, I never used to be this enlightened, and I know it's going to get better and better. And people are probably listening going, Amanda, you suck, so stop thinking you're so great. But, like, I'm willing to take criticism, advice. Like, I want to be better all the time, even when I'm a dick to Karsten or the kids. Like,
Yeah, you are. You are quite moldable.
I think that's, like, I don't know, I want to be molded. Call me Play-Doh.
That's my new nickname for you.
Like, what is with people who give themselves nicknames? That's a weird thing.
Oh, there we go.
I'm gonna give myself a nickname. Play-Doh. That's a really good one, right?
Have you ever had a nickname?
Yeah, we're gonna run out of time here soon. But yeah, I've been called, like, some of Carson's friends call me Dito.
Why?
It started like a man Dito, and then it turned into Dito. I don't know. It's not really that good. Anyways, you guys, we're running out of time. These cameras only record so long. We're gonna wrap up.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thanks for tuning in to the It's Really None of Our Business podcast.
Find us on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and Let us know how you feel about us. If you hate us, we want to know that too.
It's true. What can we do to improve? Keep
Send
in
us
touch.
a what the fuck. Like if you see something on the internet that you're like, oh my god, this is hilarious or serious or will make Monica cry, send them to us.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to It's Really None of Our Business podcast with Monica and Amanda. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you know all the places. If you've enjoyed this podcast, tell your friends, and please rate and review us where you can. If you are brave enough to reach out and ask us for advice, we will definitely read it out on our show. We'll totally keep your name anonymous, so what do you got to lose? You can reach us by email at ask.noneofourbusiness@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing from you guys soon. Ciao.